What's going on, guys? My name's Jordan. I'm a technician at Hall Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And today I'm going to be tearing apart the dash on this 2024 Dodge Charger to help fix a climate control issue that's popped up on some of the earlier production models. Now, this issue is all tied to the ICS, or the integrated center stack, and Dodge has already issued a bulletin and a resolution for it. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what's going on and how we're going to take care of it here at the dealership. So your ICS is this switch panel that lives just underneath the radio. It's kind of got like a haptic feedback in it, and if you've been in one of these and you've touched it, you know there's really no tactile feedback, but you'll feel the motor underneath kind of vibrating this as you touch it to kind of let you know what you've been pressing. But what it controls, it controls the temperature, the defroster, and that's kind of important. But on effective vehicles, after about 10 to 15 minutes of driving, especially in cold weather, you may not notice this when it's warmer outside, but the buttons stop responding completely. But if they do, you still retain function through the touchscreen. You will be able to use all of your climate control features through that way. So if you've experienced this issue, this will be the fix for it. But a lot of these vehicles were covered under the RSU. So if your dealer did a good job before they released them to you, it was already taken care of. But some of these kind of slipped out. If you bought an early production model, let's say you ordered one at launch, it may not have gotten taken care of. And these things are getting pretty hard to get with everything going on in the world. I know Brandon over at Socket Monkey Garage, he's having the same issue, and he's been waiting quite a while to get his part. So I'm going to throw the bulletin up on the screen so that way you guys can take a second to pause and read over it. This will affect any vehicle that was built before January 6, 2025. There's a good chance that your vehicle's already had this replaced, but if you are having issues, feel free to contact your dealership, give them your VIN, they'll run through, and they'll see if this RSU has ever been performed. So now we'll get into the actual repair. And for me to get this switch bank out, we're going to have to pull a lot of the stuff off the interior. This won't be like a complete tutorial how-to. There's a lot of hidden screws and bolts that are going to be difficult for me to film. It's just more of a guide to kind of show you what it takes to get this switch out. It's going to look complicated, but it's not that bad. A lot of our vehicles today have overlapping parts. It's kind of like Legos. It's fun. It's a good time. It's a hoot. And because I'm going to be messing with the passenger airbag, has to come out for me to access a couple more of the screws and panels, I've gone ahead and disconnected the negative terminal of my battery just to be safe, and that's what the procedure requires me to do. The last thing I want is any kind of issues going off while I'm ripping all the stuff off the dash. So we'll start by getting the glove box out. This one's pretty easy. This will also be how you access your cabin air filter. There's going to be two screws over here on the side, little plastic guys, and you'll need a 1/4 inch Allen to twist them forward. There's also going to be a cable over here on the side with a little retaining clip, and he holds by spring tension, and that keeps the glove box from flopping down, and he's easily pulled back and released. When you put it back in, you'll just have to reach up and then grab him and hook him back in. That's what that guy looks like. Glove box released. You'll probably be able to see right there would be where you can access your cabin air filter. Get our side panel off. And now we're ready for some of the fun stuff. Get this thing off without breaking it. Now I'm going to pull the radio screen out. It's held in with 2 screws on this side and 2 screws on this side. Now I'm able to pull out the display screen. There's a couple connectors underneath of it. He's out. We'll get this big glove box housing out. He's just held in by a couple screws. And a connector for the light. Now, a lot of these new tabs that Stellantis has been using, they like to pop off. They don't necessarily break. When they do come off, I'll have to come in and add them back onto the glove box where they popped off. Yeah, with that removed, I got access now to get underneath to the airbag. There's a couple connectors under here, a couple bolts that mount the airbag to the actual framing of the dash, and some screws that hold it on. Passenger airbag lives here, so I'll get pulling that thing out. What I'm removing now are the bolts that secure the airbag to the framing. There's a couple airbag connectors. And there's a few hidden screws that like to live up in here. They're kind of difficult to film, but if they didn't come out and you go to yank on this, it's probably going to break. Ask me how I know. Right, everything's free. So this kind of seems counterintuitive, but in my experience, the more violent you are with removing some of our interior trim panels, the less likely chance you are to actually break them. You go in with a pry tool and trying to be delicate, and it doesn't always work out the way you think it would, versus just getting in here and giving it a good yank. And there we go. There's our passenger airbag. And before I move to the driver's side of the vehicle, I'm just going to go ahead and get this A-pillar trim off. Kind of let him sit here loosely. Same thing for the driver. One of the next things to come out will be the cluster. There's some stuff behind it that I need to get access to, and so it'll have to be removed. But in order to get to it, I'm also going to have to remove the upper instrument panel cover here. He can be a little fun, but I do have a secret weapon. This is basically like an airbag that you use in a lockout tool. And if I make myself a gap, I'll be able to slide it under, pump it up, and it'll blow this panel off and make it a little bit easier for me to get access to without trying to take pry tools and go along this carbon fiber trim and scratching anything. That'll give me enough access to get my fingers under here. Not press. Got some access to my bolts here. There's a trim piece that goes over the cluster. Two more bolts underneath. Pull the instrument cluster out. There's a couple connectors in the back. There's your display screen for instrument panel cluster. So now we're on the home stretch. The last thing we have to take out, is a plastic panel here, and then our switch bank will come out. It's bolted underneath this piece of trim here, and this trim goes underneath the cluster over here, which is why the cluster had to be removed. There might be a way to, snake this thing out. I don't want to find out. This isn't that bad of a job. I don't want to break somebody's car by me trying to cheat it when, this isn't that terrible anyway. Just have 2 more screws left. That's it. It's the one connector that goes to the integrated center stack switch bank. It's free. So yeah, that's what it takes to get to that switch bank. Alternatively too, this is what it will take to get to the radio. This is the radio assembly here. I pulled out the screen earlier. It's a separate module, but anytime a radio gets replaced, this is what you're gonna have to do to access it here. There's also another YouTuber out there, All-Wheel Drive. I've been following him. He's had his in the shop multiple times, and they've put several radios in. So each time that they're doing a radio replacement, this is the procedure they're having to follow. I mean, it's quite a bit of parts that have to come off. They're all back here in the trunk. But I don't think this is that bad of a job. I love interior work. It's just basically a giant $85,000 Lego. So we're back over at my box. Got my switch panel, the piece of trim, and we're just going to swap them out. These are held in with 3 tiny little screws. They're hand tight too. Number 3 Allen. We'll get them out. Pop them out. There's our old guy. Here's our new one going in. And that's it. I'll throw them back in the car. I'll get everything buttoned up in the reverse order that I took it out. I'll do a couple tests, make sure everything works. And this is complete. This is the old one. He's got to go back to parts. He's got to return back to Stellantis. It's a warranty part, and they want them all back. I'm sure they do some testing on them to verify that it was failed. But that's it. That's pretty much a wrap. Everything's back together. I basically reassembled reverse order the way that I disassembled. Hook my 12-volt battery back up. Make sure to follow that procedure where I come back in and cycle the key to run so that the coolant pumps don't run. That's pretty important, especially with all the people out on the internet who are recommending that the 12-volt be disconnected and reconnected for certain issues. That's completely fine. Just make sure that you run in within 1 minute time and cycle that key to run so that way the coolant pumps can learn and you don't end up with a draw. But I hooked my scan tool up, made sure that I didn't create any codes. Everything was good. Came in, checked all of my buttons, make sure everything works, nothing's acting weird, all of my controls are happy, everything looks good, no rattles, squeaks, everything's looking great. It's not part of the procedure, but what I'm going to do is go out and take this thing on a test drive just to make sure that I didn't create any kind of rattles. If this was my car and I got it back and it had a rattle, it would probably piss me off. And you can ask my wife. I will tear a car apart if it's got a rattle. It drives me insane. So yeah, that's how you replace the integrated center stack switch on a Dodge Charger EV. So if you have one of these that was built before January 6, 2025, and you're experiencing any kind of issues, or if you're just unsure if the dealership completed your RSU, feel free to give them a call. They'll look it up by VIN. They'll let you know. We would be happy to take care of it for you. It's our job. Alternatively, too, if you're in Hampton Roads, you have one of these or any Mopar, I'd love to take a look at it for you. I absolutely love PT Cruisers, so bring it by. I'll fix it for you. But yeah, if you guys like this kind of content, I know the internet loves these things. Feel free to drop a comment down below. Tell me about how Grandma Connie's Intrepid never had any kind of HVAC control issues. And do me a favor and hit subscribe. Lets me know that people are actually watching this and these are worth making. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.